Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Art of Awakening. I'm Ona, and you really don't have to be an intuitive to sense that the energies on the planet right now are pretty intense. So this week I'm just going to share a little bit about what Spirit has been telling me about what's going on energetically this right now, and also we'll also pull a few cards just to help us through the coming week, and this will be for June 7th through the 13th, 2020. Okay, so if you watched last week's video, I think I shared that what I'm really seeing right now is that we are, as a planet, receiving a greater influx of light than we have in probably thousands of years. It's tremendous, okay? And what this does is, it's like, okay, so why are we seeing all this darkness coming up, all this turmoil, all the fear, all the just all the shit hitting the fan, excuse my language, but well, it's because, like, when you shine light into think about the crevices in shine light into the dark crevices, all the rats and the roaches come out, right? So that's the dynamic that we're seeing here, and I'm getting the feeling like this is just the beginning, right? That we may see an interesting decade here coming up. Okay, so I just wanted to share a few of the things that Spirit's been giving me around this, in the hopes that, just to help assist not only myself, but anybody else who might be listening here in how to navigate this, and how to hopefully step into our role as more awakened people, or awakening, in assisting these energies, to do what needs to happen here on this planet, right? Because what I'm seeing is that this, even though it's really, really hard, what's happening is initiating changes that really need to be made. But all of us have a role to play in that. Okay, so the first thing that I'm being really shown is, again, light's flushing the system, right? And it creates this, what it's doing is bringing up long-held tensions and repressed energies, okay? And Spirit's been really kind of showing me, asking me to look at the laws of physics, because it's all energy, right? So the laws of physics, as above, so below, have this correspondence with the laws of, Spirit, right? And so they're asking me to look at the idea of energy and how it expresses itself. Okay, so there's energy in motion. Okay, power is actually energy that's being used to do work, right? And that typically is going to be power that's, energy that's in motion. If you think of a steam engine or something like that. But there's also something called potential energy, where a battery would be a potential energy, where the energy is not moving, but it has this potential to do work. Okay, but another example of potential energy is, something like this, which would be, something that's balanced, that's sort of unstable. Okay, and so I'm just holding this shungite pyramid here upside down here in my hand, and so when we have repressed energies, and when something kind of brings them up, okay, so that they're, when the tension has built, okay, that anytime you've got tension building, that is potential energy. It's not moving yet, but a little hair trigger, okay, can get it going in a big way. And so that can happen in terms of the violence or things like that, and can trigger all sorts of chain reactions. But consider that the same principle goes for anything. Okay, so when we as light workers start start doing our thing and bringing positive energy into the scene, sometimes all it takes is one teeny tiny little touch, and it can have a massive impact. And so what they're telling me is that each person who's working in the light also has that potential for just little actions or little pushings of energy to have massive impact, and we don't always see it, okay? Because when we're working on these etheric planes, we're not always going to be seeing exactly like we do in the real world, right? The impact or the causality. But Spirit is telling me that that causality does happen, and the thing is that one light worker sitting here and just bringing in light or whatever's happening, right? It can have a kind of a wave of energy that can impact like the entire planet at once, right? In which case that energy might not be felt in any particular way, but as a whole, it may be bringing the whole world up, right? We don't know. Or it may be somehow being picked up by other light workers in the vibrating, or it maybe have some sort of a calming influence, right, on the whole world. We don't know what the world might look like if there wasn't a lot of people meditating at this time. Okay, so what they're really, the message is that the work that you do, the work that you're doing as an individual, and especially the work that we're doing collectively. So when light workers come together, it amplifies that power, okay? And they're saying that miracles are possible, okay? Just as we recently saw a kind of a single incident really creating ripples all over the world, really. And even though it is uncomfortable and has been really uncomfortable, it's just showing the power of one incident to kind of expand. But they're also saying that actions taken in light can do the same thing, okay? And remember that like the still small voice will speak quieter, but it does not mean it's less impactful, okay? So this is another thing I'm seeing is just sort of like there's a large portion, a significant portion of the kind of light worker community that's wrapping up a big cycle right now, okay? And the way I'm seeing it is that it's sort of like sweeping out the corners or squeezing out the sponge, the last shreds of darkness that need to be cleared out in order to move into this new cycle are being swept away. They're being cleared. There's a lot of activity going on for many individuals, and myself included, and some of those that I've been working with. And thank you, by the way, if you've signed up for a session with me. I have much gratitude. So this is something that I think we as a lightworker community, and certainly a certain percentage of us, are actively working on, is clearing out the last of this old big cycle. And especially the last couple of years, a lot of us have been really feeling it, in order to be able to move on to the next cycle. And what I'm getting is, I'm just getting this image of, it's sort of like there's this boat, right? And there's a bunch of us who are just kind of clearing out, and there's a lot of grace coming in, and it's sort of like, okay, we're going to really help you to just clear out what you need to clear out, so that you can step here onto this boat and start hauling in other people, right? and hauling other people out of this conundrum, this collective water that we're all in, okay? So if you've been feeling a call to purpose, if you've been feeling like it's time that you really stepped into that purpose, started that business, figured out your life purpose, figured out your connection with your guides, figured out your connection with your ancestors, whatever it is, right? If you've been feeling like this real sense of it's time, then it is. You're tuned into that. And so the encouragement is that it really is time, and it's not an emergency, but it is fairly urgent. Spirit really wants us to step into our truth, to step into our purpose, because each of us has been put here for a reason at this time, right? We've come into this planet for a reason, and you're needed. Your gifts are needed, right? So encouragement is, if you're feeling like this, if you're feeling like I just need to clear out this one thing. I don't know what's holding me back, but something's holding me back. I just want to clear it out. Ask for help, right? Ask for grace. There's a tremendous amount of grace just being poured onto the planet right now, okay? And Lady Grace is the Archaea Grace. She's the feminine counterpoint to Archangel Uriel. She's really, really present on this planet, and I've been working a lot with her. And so I guess what they're saying is just ask for the help. It will come. If you feel drawn to working with a particular healer, and whether it's myself or anybody else, do it, right? Just sign up. And if there's just know that the means will be given to you if that person is right for you, or maybe just whatever it is. Maybe it's not even a ground support healer, maybe it's one of your guides, right? If you're getting that little nudge, it's time to meditate right now, just do it. Drop what you're doing, okay? And do it. And follow that little voice, that little still small voice. It's super, super important now more than ever. It's always important, but now more than ever, listen to it, because it's going to guide you. Grace is just so strong on the planet right now. You will be guided. Doors will open, and miracles do exist. So just keep that in mind as we go through this next week. Okay, so now let's just go pull a few cards for the coming week, and we'll call that good. Okay, I have here my final proof deck for my spirit animal cards. I'm switching publishers. I've made a few little upgrades, and I'll leave the link below. I'm doing pre-orders right now. It may be a couple weeks before the deck is actually done, but since I'm out of stock on the old ones. So if you would like to be one of the first to receive the new edition, then click that link below. And thank you to all of those who have pre-ordered, or who've actually, if you have the one of the old decks, there's not a whole lot of difference, so don't feel like you have to rush out and buy a new edition or anything. Okay, so here is the first card for this coming week of June 7th through the 13th. The card is Dog. Okay, and this is... Dog is one of those animals that we all, we're all familiar with, and that, we know as man's best friend and so forth, very, very close to humanity, right? And the thing about Dog is that in living with them, we really need to, if you're living with a dog, they demand that you really be attuned, right? They're an animal that really demands a lot of attention and a lot of kind of really working with them. They're so so spirit, kind of like these spirit little guides that live with us, right? And so they will really act out, right? If your energy isn't right, or if you're not really attuned to the dog's energy and the way the dog moves, we can, in certain individual dogs, some of them are more forgiving than others, right? Some of them are just, these beautiful little angelic souls that no matter what happens, they're always happy, or at least, just loving and so forth. But others, if you've ever had a more... there's some breeds are just more dominant, right? Then you really have to play the energy right in order to have a really happy, harmonious relationship with your dog. Okay, so what's coming forward for me is this idea of kind of a little bit of a duality, right? If you are around dogs and you are in fear in any way, they will pick up on that. Okay, they will very much pick up on that, and a lot of times it will come forward as the dog will either pick up on your fear and get kind of neurotic, or it may go into aggression mode, which might be as a reaction to try to protect you because you're feeling fear, because they're very protective, or in some certain circumstances, maybe it's another dog that they're sensing the fear of. It can bring forward this aggression against the one that's feeling fear. Okay, so the antidote to that is to really be in command. Okay, and so this is a call for this week to be really, really aware of any kind of fear energies coming forward in yourself. I'm feeling really more than anything else, and any fear energies or tendencies towards aggression, and that can come out in different ways within us, right? And to be very aware and to take command, because with a dog, if they know that you're in charge, then they tend to be very tractable. They really are want to please, right? The dogs do, and so if they know you're in charge, then they will kind of do what you ask them to, very, because they want to please. And the ego is very much like that, right? So just to keep tabs on the ego. As we all know, the dog treated in kindness is going to really, that's a much healthier relationship, right? And you're going to get a better dog if you treat it in love and kindness without spoiling it, right? Which means that you do need to maintain that command kind of energy with the dog. Okay, so I'm seeing the dog as sort of a metaphor for your own ego, or perhaps of, just drawing the line. Sometimes if something comes forward and you're seeing fear, you can just call it out and say, hey, look, you can choose to react in love, but thinking in terms of love doesn't always mean backing down or letting people get away with things, or letting yourself get away with things. Love is often, it can be firm, and it can be commanding, right? And it's like, I'm not going to put up with this. But without losing it, right? Because discipline is not synonymous with punishment, okay? You're going to get a lot more out of a dog by rewarding the good behavior, right? And just simply not allowing. But not allowing doesn't mean it has to be punishing. It doesn't mean that you have to be yelling or screaming or shaming or blaming, right? Shame and blame is pretty far down there on the consciousness scale. They are like shame and guilt. They are way at the bottom, right? So watch for any shaming or guilt kind of feeling. And just don't allow that in your field. I think we're done with that. We need to just be done with those feelings. Okay, owl is one that has been coming forward just super, super, super a lot. Super a lot lately. Owl is kind of seeing in the dark right now. This is what I'm seeing with owl, is seeing through the illusion. And I think owl came through last week too, didn't it? And sometimes things don't make sense. Owl in certain cultures represents like this kind of fool energy, right? Sometimes things don't make sense, and sometimes spirit will, as things unfold, they don't seem to make sense until maybe years later, right? And then you can see the pattern and the reasons why. Okay, so this is a call to simply accept things that are happening, to look for the light, right? Owl's eyes are very, very sensitive to light, and that's why it can see in the dark, okay? So to be really super looking for the light, and to be just focusing on that, right? Because life doesn't always make sense. And also to trust that whatever happens, as long as we really stay focused on our own truth, stay in command of our own emotions, right? That's all we can do right now. And to trust that the bigger picture, there's a divine plan that's unfolding right now. And whatever happens is part of it, okay? And card number 3 for this week. And by the way, I do appreciate your comments, your likes, and your subscribes and your shares. So thank you so much. For those, the third one is Cougar. And I'm really sort of like this independence. Don't go with the group think. There's a lot of just kind of, especially if you spend any time on social media, there's people spouting opinions, there's all sorts of like this, all these energies swirling around, and very inflamed kind of emotional energies, right? Cougar's saying stay in your own boundaries. Stay in your own boundaries, stay in your own energy, and you may feel all these things swirling around you, but stay centered. I mean, cats are all the cat family, right? A cat knows itself. Cat doesn't pretend to be anything else but a cat and its own cat, right? So tune into your inner cat and just allow all this other stuff. He's got all these energies flowing around him in this particular one. But he's just really focused on where he needs to go, right? Focus on your own path right now, your own path. No matter where it takes you and whether it takes you counter to other energies that are flowing around, stick to your own path. I think this week is really all about purpose, your path, finding your path, following your path. And because this is really a call to purpose right now. And so if you're feeling that, go with it, and reach out to me if you need to, or any other healer who's out there that you feel called to. I think it's really, really important for all of us. If you've been on this path for a while and are feeling like it's just time to really step into it, it is time. And if you're new to this path, if you've recently awakened, there's a reason that you've recently awakened now, okay? And you don't necessarily have to spend years and years. I think the energies right now, there's a lot of darkness that's been kind of stirred up, but there's a lot of light coming in, and it feels like there's a certain weight that's been lifted. And so even if you haven't been at this for a while, if you're feeling drawn to doing the light work, or even if you're drawn to, doing healing work for yourself, for others, whatever, if you're really seriously feeling drawn to it, ask for grace, expect miracles, jump into it, right? Follow your guidance with discernment, but really follow that still small voice. It's there, and it speaks truth, right? Take it easy, and we'll catch you again next time.